Hello and welcome to Nautel Saving Money with Nautel's Type Certified VS300 LPFM webinar. To those joining us today who were part of the first round of construction permits announced last week, congratulations. We would like to welcome you all and thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Christy White and I'm the LPFM specialist here at Nautel. And I will be joined by Wendell Lonergan, the head of broadcast sales, whom will help throughout to answer any questions and provide some insight along the way.
Thanks, Christy. Today is the 23rd day of January, and down here in Nova Scotia, we are in the middle of a big blizzard. For those of you joining us from the northeast of the U.S., Boston, New York in particular, the storm that you had last night, we are getting today, and it's pretty exciting here. In fact, I'm the only person in this whole building today because of the storm. So here just to speak for you guys with Christy.
Okay, thanks, Wendell. So today our theme will focus on making every watt count, from getting the best sound to having the tools at your fingertips that will help you run and manage your station reliably and effectively. Over the past few months, I've spoken with a number of you actually about your LPFM applications, and a number of people called and confessed to me that they were not broadcast engineers but had some questions, and of course Nautel is always here to answer anyone's questions. So that being said, today I'm going to deliver a fairly non-technical presentation. So I'll just take a minute some of you have started to put some questions into the question panel to the right of your screen. If you don't see it, just click on the orange arrow to expand it. And we might answer some of them as we go, but we'll likely wait until the end to answer any of your questions. So the LPFM challenge. With LPFM, you want to make every watt of your 100 watts count, and you also want to reach as many listeners in your communities as possible. The station might be small and low power, but can provide a quality signal that attracts listenership. And many of you will be trying to do this with limited engineering resources and a limited budget. So we want to cover some of the elements that contribute to the overall cost of operation of your station today. So to frame our discussion, we'll just kind of start about thinking about what you need. Your antenna delivers your signal, which is connected to your transmitter via coax cable from the output of your transmitter. And that transmitter is fed audio via an audio processor, which is fed from your studio. So you do need an FCC type certified transmitter. I know there are many YouTube videos on making your own, but those won't keep you legal. And you need your coax cable and your antenna. And your antenna must be an omnidirectional antenna. So if your studio is in another location, you also have to think about your studio to transmitter length. So I'm not going to get into the antennas, but I did want to just provide a visual and show what some of the antenna options are. In terms of other equipment, we'll get into a bit more detail on audio processors in the next slide. But as I mentioned with your studio transmitter link, if the site is co-located, this can be the most cost-effective, but it's not always possible. You know, I've talked to many people who will be putting their antennas on the roofs of their building or church steeples, but if that's not an option, you need to think about how you're going to move that content. Most of you will be looking at analog or digital links that require a line of sight, so no trees and no buildings in the way. And these options run $3,000 to $10,000. Leveraging the internet to manage and transfer content is growing, And while the connections are getting better and faster, it also means that people are using that connection more. So this can be a little bit of an issue with congestion, but I'll touch on it a little bit later. Another consideration is remote controls. They provide you the ability to control your transmitter outside the transmitter site, so turn it on, turn it off, change your audio source without having to be at the transmitter site. So let's talk more about the audio processor. So Nautel can't help you with your content, but we can help you with your sound. And audio processing is a way to really make every watt count. Audio processors help clean up your sound. One way is through compression. The audio processor brings up the soft sounds and brings down the loud sounds so that you have something that is audible and enjoyable. So it can help with your environmental noise so that people can hear the soft parts while driving in a car. It makes you just loud in general so that when people are switching between stations, you're comparable to, say, other stations on the same dial. As you probably know through the application process, the FCC limits how much you can modulate under the license, and an audio processor helps you stay within this limit by compressing your signal and helping to prevent overmodulation. And I'm going to show you that a little bit later with the interface software. Now, what processor you need really comes down to preference, and there are several manufacturers. They can range from $3,000 to $4,000 in cost, all the way up to $13,000 for a high-end audio processor. Now, with Nautel and the VS series, we worked with Orban to develop an audio processor that mounts right inside the VS transmitter, eliminating the external audio processing box. The Orban Inside card is a DSP card that mounts inside the transmitter and functions similar to the Orban external box, the Orban 5500. Because the card is inside the transmitter, it can take a number of inputs, except for composite, and process all of those signals internal to the transmitter. So with this, the unprocessed audio comes into the transmitter. The card performs the functions inside and uses the internal VS stereo generator to generate the FM signal and feed your antenna from the transmitter output. With this, you can remove the external box, opt for something inside, and it can be a really big cost saver compared to the $3,000 to $13,000 range.
And a lot of these sites, space is also an issue as well. And most of these audio processors are actually larger than the transmitter itself. So this saves you rack space, reliability issues of interconnecting between the processor and the transmitter. It's just a very nice, convenient way of getting your processing done in an economical manner.
Indeed. So now that we've talked about the processor that's available inside the VS, we'll focus now on the transmitter itself. So it does have a full digital exciter, and it will operate from 8 to 330 watts. So depending on your line loss and your antenna gain, the VS300 is going to give you a lot of headroom to get your 100 watts ERP. You'll also notice that it has a front panel LCD, which provides at-a-glance summary information. So it's going to tell you if your RF is on or off, what your set point is, forward power, reflected power, what operating frequency you're on. And also there are 4 LEDs, green, amber, and red, which are going to tell you about your exciter, your power amplifier, your output network, and your power supply. You can imagine amber means something is wrong, and red typically means that your you have a big failure and you might be off the air. But it is nice to have that information right in front of you if you are in front of the transmitter. So this is the back view of the VS300. It's showing the various inputs available. There's several program inputs that are connected using a 9-pin D-sub connector, a BNC connector, or an XLR connector. You're also going to notice that there's some remote control and monitoring connections, a SCA, an RDS input. This is also where you would find the FCC type certified sticker and also the Nautel serial number, which is what helps you when you need to call into customer service if you needed to. So it does operate on a 220 volt power supply. I know that many sites might only be operating with 120 volt power supply. But we do offer a VS300 step-up, which will allow you to operate the transmitter on 120 volt power supply. So we'll get into a couple more of the inputs here. We do have a live wire input. So this is a great configuration if you are co-located because you can connect your studio to your transmitter just using Cat5 cable because there is a built-in live wire receiver in the back of the transmitter. There are a number of products that are live wire enabled that will meet varying budgets if you wanted to consider this as an option. A lot of you might be familiar with Shoutcast, the free internet radio site. Now, Shoutcast can be another option for STL using the public internet, but again, you do have to consider that you might face issues with bandwidth. I know if you are familiar with listening to internet radio, sometimes you get pauses or dropouts in your signal. So you could face that. We really envision this as a backup audio option. So if you stream your station online using Shoutcast, in addition to your regular broadcast, you could use this as a fail-safe to stay on the air by rebroadcasting that signal. Another backup option is the USB port. So it can keep you on the air in the event of a main audio fail. I know with the scheduler that we also offer, which I'll show you in this software in a few slides here, you could use it for later hours as your main broadcast. So you can create a playlist from audio files on a USB stick that's connected to the back of the transmitter. You can even add content to the USB over the internet to pull from, so you can be refreshing that content without having to be physically in front of the transmitter connecting a new USB. So the VS series has presets. There are over 50 presets that you can configure on the transmitter, and it's really the brain of the transmitter. So it's going to store your frequency, your power level, your audio input, your backup audio, and more. And this is, in addition to the front panel, we also have the advanced user interface. So to access this, you need a computer and a web browser that's connected either directly to the VS, so locally, or connected through a switch or a LAN connection so that you can connect to it remotely. And this is going to give you a snapshot and more control, but also remote control of the transmitter. I'm going to go through a live demonstration of this in a few minutes, but before we do, I'll just run through a few of the things that we're going to see. And we're actually going to be looking at a transmitter that's located in Quincy, Illinois, so it's very easy to connect. So you notice that there's a logging in the AUI. So it's going to keep track of all of the events that happen with your transmitter. This can be a really effective troubleshooting tool because it's going to give you the history of what's gone on. It can be emailed. You can copy these logs, which I'll show you when we go through the live demonstration. So for lots of people who will be using limited engineering resources, it's a really great tool to allow someone to log into your transmitter and look at things without being physically on site. So there's some more troubleshooting snapshots. So you can have 3 users logged in at once, and they can set up varying usernames and access levels. So for example, you could set someone up to view only, because the biggest fear with this is that someone goes in and maybe changes something that could put you off the air if they weren't familiar. But it's a really great troubleshooting tool. You can even allow the Nautel technicians, if you have to call into customer support, to log in and view your transmitter's AUI. It can be really great at diagnosing the problem without being in front of the transmitter. The VS series also offers an internal RDS generator, so this is the information that scrolls across telling you the station you're listening to or the song title, the artist. So you can connect an external RDS generator to the VS, but you can also use the internal RDS generator. And I did just want to give everyone a quick look inside. So this is the transmitter with the cover removed. Everything is very accessible. The transmitter does come with slides, so you can take it out of the rack easily. Only weighs 23 pounds. It's 100% built here in North America. It's 100% broadband, so there's no adjustments needed. You can change the frequency at a later date if required. And it also comes with washable air filters, so you can take those out, clean them, and put them back in once they're dry. Anything to add, Wendell, on the inside look here?
Well, I was muted for a few minutes, as it turns out, but I was going to add a comment on troubleshooting. The AUI, which can be logged in from anywhere in the world, our customer service group also have that ability if you give them access to your IP address. So if you have a particular issue with the transmitter and you're not quite sure, if you're making the right adjustment or what have you, you can call into a customer service group, and they can actually call up your transmitter and look at the screen from our own service department and make any adjustments for you to help you get on the air. So it's just an added benefit from the advanced user interface.
Well, with that, I guess next we're going to go and take a look right in live AUI. Just be a second here while I switch it over. Okay, so you should now see the AUI on the screen. So you're going to notice that the top banner is really going to give you your date, your time. It's going to tell you the set point, the frequency, and what your active preset is. So this transmitter is not on. I'm just going to turn RF on here. So in the bottom banner, you're also going to notice that you have when we were in RF off, it was red. Now that it's on, it's green. There's also a status button, which also changes based on if you have any alarms. So right now it's green because there are no issues. If there was something wrong, this changes to red. So the main menu is here. We'll just open this up. Home takes you back to your home screen, but the presets here, this is really where you configure, it's the brains of your transmitter. So it's going to tell you what your general information, allow you to change your main audio you can choose your secondary source. But once we jump over here to other settings, you can see here that if your modulation is lost, you can tell the transmitter what action to take. So in this case, we have it set as change preset. You can ask it to take no action, to inhibit. And you can also say what preset you want to choose. So you'll see here there's a configured preset with the shoutcast information. So you can choose that. And you can set, timeout after how many minutes. Now I did see a question come in here on the RDS. So here on this preset it's disabled. But if you do enable it, you're going to see that it's going to provide you with a number of different options. And any changes you make, as soon as you change it, it's going to ask you to save it. You can also load a different preset. We could change the preset here. All of the presets you'll notice are quite low for the set points because we only have 50 watt dummy load connected to this transmitter, so that's why it's set at 10 watts. So we'll just open up the logs here. So this is your log manager, and it's going to give you the history of what's gone on. You'll notice alarms, the check marks is clearing alarms. It's going to provide you with a severity level. We go into the log manager. It's going to give you a legend of what the symbols mean. And you can also copy the logs. So just by clicking that button, it's now copied all of the logs to a clipboard. You can put them into a text document, an Excel sheet. So we'll go back to our home page. Now, if we go back into the menu and we go to our playlist option here, I will note that the Orban Inside card is not in this transmitter. If it was, it shows up as its own icon in the menu, and you click on that, and it's where you configure all of your Orban and audio processing settings. So within the playlist, you'll see that there's a playlist created here. There's additional files available on the USB. So what it's running right now is this test list. Now if I wanted to change it so that it played this alternative playlist in the event of a failure, I can do that. And this is where you would add files, you can remove files, create new playlists. You can also access this playlist in the scheduler and create a new rule so that, every evening at a certain time it played a certain playlist or it played your shoutcast. You can configure this in any way that you'd like. Wendell, is there anything else you wanted to take a look at while we're in here in the scheduler?
Well,
or in the
yeah,
UI?
back in the main menu, I see there's some sort of larger screens there. One is called Spectrum. So what we have is some very sophisticated test equipment that's included in the front panel of the AUI. So a spectrum analyzer is a piece of equipment that looks at the purity or the spectral content of what you're broadcasting. And if you were to purchase a spectrum analyzer, this device could cost you anywhere between $8,000 and $30,000 as well. And it's just another feature that we include in the transmitter. And there's a number of screens here that look at the ones that's called up right now look at mostly HD radio parameters, but the lizard just plot that's in the bottom right quadrant gives you information about your stereo content that you're broadcasting. So these are Just very, very helpful troubleshooting and analysis tools that are just a free part of the transmitter.
Yeah, and your spectrum analyzer is also going to help you see if you're overmodulating as well.
Absolutely.
I should mention here the meters as well. You can, in this menu, you can actually see a snapshot of what's going on in your transmitter. So you'll see some blue boxes flashing, and that's the transmitter taking a new reading. So it's not logging this information. You can capture this exact moment and export it if you wanted to see what was going on at a certain point. But it does provide a really good snapshot of what's going on at this moment. Okay, so we'll just get back to the slideshow. I will mention that if you do have more questions about the AUI, you can contact me, and if there's a few people interested, we could set up some time and go through this in a little bit more detail. Okay, so what is in your VS300 box? You're getting your digital exciter, you're getting the live wire and the shoutcast, you're getting that advanced user interface control system, which is also a remote control. You're getting the USB audio backup, you have the Orban inside, push radio, so this is your scheduler, the ability to schedule and push the content out. And the transmitter also comes with the 4-year Nautel warranty. So it's really easy, it's plug and play, you can connect with as much as AC, your feed line, an IP or a USB stick and get yourself on the air. There's headroom for lots of line loss or antennas. It's type certified as required. And the price is $5,300. It's an extra zero in there, I apologize. It's $5,300. And today we are proud to announce a little promo that we have going on. So we talked to you already about the cost of the external audio processors, and the Orban Inside card is only $1,200, but right now, as a special offer to new LPs, we want to offer you the Orban Inside card free with the purchase of your transmitter. So for $5,300, you're going to get the VS300 transmitter with the Orban inside, your built-in remote control with our Nautel AUI, your backup audio options, your USB, shoutcast, and a scheduler, all for the $5,300. You can contact me about this or to make the purchase. It's a limited time offer, but if you don't have your CP yet, don't worry. You can talk to me a little bit more about that. We can wait until you find out. So I guess we'll take some time to answer some questions, Wendell.
Okay, no problem. One of the questions we have in from Rich, he says, when will you have Omnia MX Direct capability? So Omnia Direct is in fact available now on the latest version of software. So that's all taken care of. Let's see, I have a question from Jeff. Music could be turned off or at least down. Music could be turned off or at least down. I'm not sure what the question is there.
Yeah, maybe, Jeff, you could contact us and we'd be more than happy to answer that question if you could just give us a little bit more information.
Yeah, Larry asks, is the transmitter FCC type accepted? The answer is yes.
Oh, now I see the music question. Okay.
Apparently music was coming from another source. It's okay, Jeff? These things happen. Please talk about lightning mitigation. Well,
Yeah, I guess there's a concern here with the OR-band inside card being inside the transmitter.
yeah, interesting comment. Having the card inside the transmitter gives us complete control of the interconnections between the transmitter and the audio processor. One of the largest issues in a transmitter site is ground loops and long lengths of interconnection wires and a processor grounded to a potential that is not the same potential as the transmitter, even though you think they're both ground. So it actually is more reliable in the transmitter from a lightning point of view than if it were outside. And from just a pure MTBF, mean time to failure point of view, the OR-band card inside has much less parts than an external audio processor, and just by plain definition of reliability, it is in fact more reliable than an external box. Okay, let me just read some more questions here.
Next question, there's an RBDS characters question. I know about the number, Larry, so what I'll do is I'll send you a note after and get that number for you. I believe it's 26, but I need to double check.
Yeah. Okay, FC requires carrier to be off if no modulation after 3 minutes. Okay, so you can set the time. You can set the time on the low modulation alarm for 3 minutes. I think the exception to that is, no, I think that you are correct. So that's easily set up in the menu that Christy actually showed us earlier there. So that can take care of that. What are the LRU available? An acronym I'm not familiar with. LRU.
Oh, it's 2 rack units tall, if that's what that is about.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And we'll just answer one more question here. Can the VS300 be used in a translator station mode? And the answer is yes. Okay. Okay. Now there could be several more questions. I can't see them all on the screen. But what we will do is we will look at all these questions and we will provide answers by email afterwards, because if we answer them all, we could be here for the next couple of hours, and that would not be so fair for everybody. So that's our questions and answers for today, other than what we'll send out by email after the webinar.
Okay, great. So just to recap, visit our website, stay in touch, and if you have any questions, you can contact myself, Christy White, or you can contact any of our sales managers. So thank you for joining us today and taking the time out of your schedule, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you all so much.